Have you ever really stopped to think about what's going on inside the machine you're looking at right now? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on computer hardware. We're going to break down exactly how your computer works, piece by piece. So let's dive in.
Think about it. You click a mouse, you type something on the keyboard, you tap your screen. It's second nature, right? But what actually happens in that split second after you do that? We're about to follow that command on its incredible journey from your finger all the way to the result you see on screen.
Okay, first things first. Let's get our terms straight. What is hardware? It's actually super simple. It's all the physical stuff. If you can see it and you can touch it, like the screen, the keyboard, that whole boxy thing, yep, that's hardware.
So our journey has to start somewhere, and it starts with getting information into the computer. Now, to make this all a bit easier to picture, let's imagine your computer is a busy office. This first step, this is the office inbox. It's where all the new jobs and requests land first.
And here are all the different ways we can drop something into that inbox. You've got the obvious ones, of course, like a keyboard and mouse, but you also have scanners for paper documents or even a microphone for your voice. Each one is just a different kind of tool for giving the computer its to-do list.
Now here's the really important part. All of these different gadgets, these input devices, they're basically translators. They take something we do in the real world, like pressing a key or moving a mouse or speaking, and they translate it into ones and zeros, a digital language the computer can actually work with.
And the two translators you're probably most familiar with are the keyboard and the mouse, right? The keyboard is our go-to for typing out words and numbers, and the mouse lets us point, click, and drag things around on the screen. They seem pretty basic, but they are the absolute fundamental bridge between our world and the digital one.
All right, so the work request has officially arrived in the inbox. Where does it go from there? Well, now it's time to visit the head office, the computer's brain. This is where the real magic happens. And you can think of this diagram here as our floor plan for the head office. You can see how all the main players, the processor, the memory, the storage, all those input and output devices, how they're all connected. Keep this picture in your head as we zoom in on each part. Right at the very heart of it all is the central processing unit, or the CPU. People call it the brain of the computer, and that's a perfect description. It reads every instruction and does all the heavy lifting, all the calculations. In our little office analogy, the CPU, well, it's the boss. It's the one that picks up the request from the inbox and decides what to do with it.
Of course, even the boss needs a place to work, right? And that place is the main memory, which you've probably heard of as RAM. This is the computer's temporary workspace. A great way to think of it is as the boss's desk. Whatever files and data are being worked on right now are spread out on this desk for super fast access. But, and this is a big but, just like a real desk, it gets cleared off when the workday is done. You turn the power off and poof, everything on the desk is gone. That's why we call it volatile memory.
Okay, so our boss, the CPU, has done its job. The calculation is finished, the document is all formatted. So, what now? We need to actually see the results. And that brings us to the final product.
So once the boss is done processing everything, output devices are how all that information gets back to us in a useful way. Think of it as the finished memo coming out of the head office. This here shows you all the different ways the computer can deliver that final result.
The ones we use all the time are, of course, the monitor, which is kind of like the office's digital bulletin board showing us everything visually. Then you've got the printer, which makes a physical paper copy, like something from the copy machine. And speakers, they're like the office intercom, letting us hear music or voices. They all do the same basic job, turning that digital data back into something we humans can see or hear.
So the job's done, the result has been delivered. But wait a minute, what if we need to save that work for later? Or what if we need to send it to a whole other department? Well, that brings us to our office's filing cabinet and its mailroom.
This is exactly where storage devices come into play. We're talking about things like hard drives, solid-state drives, or even that little USB stick you have. Their job is to save our work permanently. See, unlike the boss's temporary desk, the RAM, this is the office's permanent filing cabinet. When you shut everything down for the night, whatever you put in here will be waiting for you safe and sound the next day.
And this slide right here, this is probably one of the most important concepts to really get. On the left, you have RAM,
the fast but temporary desk space. If the power goes out, it's all gone. On the right, you have storage, the slower but permanent filing cabinet. It keeps all your stuff safe, even when the computer is off. It's something people get confused about all the time, but seeing it laid out like this really makes that difference crystal clear.
Last but not least, how does our little office talk to the outside world? That's the job of communication devices. Your modem, your router, their whole purpose is to connect your computer to other computers and the internet. They are essentially the office mailroom, sending and receiving packages of information to and from millions of other offices all over the world.
So there you have it. That's the entire journey. Information comes in, it gets processed by the boss on their desk, the result is sent out, and the important stuff gets put into storage. Input, processing, output, and storage. It's this beautiful, seamless system where every single part has to work together perfectly.
So that wraps up our tour of the computer office. We've seen the inbox, met the boss, checked out the final product, and organized the filing cabinet. It kind of leads to a final, interesting question, doesn't it? Which one of these parts do you think is the most important? It's a tough one because, as we've just seen, they all completely rely on each other. It's something to think about the next time you boot up your machine. Thanks so much for joining me.